Alright, everyone, we have two big pieces of gaming news to talk about today. One is pretty unfortunate, while the other is actually some exciting news for horror fans. Let's start with the bad news. The studio behind the remake of Until Dawn, Ballistic Moon, is reportedly shutting down after major layoffs. This news was first reported by Insider Gaming, and according to the report, the studio has essentially been closed for quite some time now. Apparently, the problems actually started before the Until Dawn remake was even released. Around 40 employees were laid off before launch, which is already a pretty big hit for a studio. The remaining developers were kept around for post-launch support for the remake, but unfortunately, that didn't last long either. By December, those remaining employees were also let go, leaving around another 20 developers without a job. Insider Gaming also reported that the owners of Ballistic Moon had been actively looking for funding and pitching new projects, but they weren't able to secure anything. Because of that, the studio was apparently considered effectively closed back in March of 2025, even though technically the company name still existed. And honestly, this situation is pretty unfortunate. The Until Dawn remake received a lot of criticism from fans. Some people felt the game didn't really need a remake in the first place, especially since the original game still plays perfectly fine. There were also a lot of complaints about the changes that were made. Some fans didn't like the visual overhaul, saying it felt less atmospheric than the original game. Others didn't like the changes to the camera system, since the original game used fixed cinematic camera angles that helped build tension. The remake also replaced the iconic intro song "Oh Death" with a new song called "Out of the Shadows," which a lot of fans weren't very happy about. Now I will say this, I actually played the remake myself, and honestly, I wasn't really fond of some of the changes either. One of the biggest things for me was the intro song change. I really liked the original version with "Oh Death." It just had a much stronger horror atmosphere. It also brings up the bigger question. Did Until Dawn really need a remake? Personally, I would say no. The original game isn't that old, and it still holds up really well today. It's not like it's a PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 era game, where a remake would make a lot more sense. So while it's definitely unfortunate to see a studio shut down after releasing just one game, a lot of fans just weren't happy with the remake, and honestly, I can't really blame them. But now let's move on to the more exciting news. We just got confirmation that Resident Evil Requiem, which many fans are referring to as Resident Evil 9, is going to be getting some additional content. The game's director, Koshi Nakanishi, posted a video confirming that the game will be receiving story DLC, along with a bonus mode, and that's not all. They're also adding photo mode and a minigame as part of the upcoming content. Now this has already started a lot of speculation in the Resident Evil community. Some people are wondering if the bonus mode could possibly be Mercenaries, which is a fan favorite mode that appears in many Resident Evil games. At the moment, we don't know for sure, but it's definitely possible. We'll just have to wait and see what Capcom ends up surprising us with. As for the story DLC itself, it's been described as something that will delve deeper into the world of Requiem. Unfortunately, there is no release date yet. Capcom has asked fans to be patient, so it could still be a while before we actually see this DLC release. Hopefully it doesn't take a full year though. Another interesting thing people have pointed out is that Resident Evil Requiem currently doesn't have any bonus modes at all. From what I've read, the only thing you can unlock after finishing the game is a harder difficulty level. Normally with Resident Evil games, you expect things like New Game Plus, costumes, or extra modes, so that does feel a little disappointing. Now I will say this, I haven't actually picked up the game yet myself. It's been really difficult to find it stock at GameStop lately, which has been a little frustrating because I definitely want to play it. Hopefully they'll have it available soon. Another big question right now is who the story DLC will actually focus on. Some fans think it could center around Leon S. Kennedy, while others think it might focus more on Alyssa Ashcroft. And honestly, I think an Alyssa Ashcroft story would actually be pretty interesting. If she didn't get a lot of development in the main game, then the DLC could be a great opportunity to expand her story and give us more background. Now, don't get me wrong, I really like Leon. He's one of the most beloved characters in the entire Resident Evil franchise. But at the same time, sometimes it feels like he's a little oversaturated. So personally, I think it'd be cool if Capcom focused the DLC more on Alyssa. But we'll just have to wait and see what they decide to do. So now I want to hear from you. How do you feel about Ballistic Moon shutting down? Do you think the Until Dawn remake was necessary? And who do you think should be the main character in the Resident Evil Requiem DLC? Leon or Alyssa? And when do you think we'll actually see the DLC release? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.